All right, this case is held together enough for a test. Let's get a battery in there. Safety off. This drive shaft right there, that's hopefully gonna start spinning. What's up, Buck Doug with D&E in the garage. So we already did a video trying to fix this Milwaukee M12 ratchet. 9 times out of 10, when these things stop working, you can clean the grease off the pistons in the anvil assembly here, and that will fix your problem. I tried that, it did not work. If you have one of these and the electronics are good, but it's just not spinning up top, go check that video out. That is probably your issue. I had a more uncommon, a little bit more difficult to solve issue. My crankshaft was broken. You can see that right there. This is what drives the whole machine, and it gave up the ghost, so it was not spinning. Thankfully, a viewer found me one online. I was able to purchase it for $10. Today we're going to reassemble this thing. Off camera, to get to this crankshaft, I had to pretty much take the whole thing apart. We got all the screws, pieces, gears, springs, everything out of her. Today we're going to put it back in. So if you do have a problem where your crankshaft is broken or you need to get into here, we're going to go over the operation of the whole thing today so that you will feel confident digging into her. So we have our head assembly now down to its one single piece. It's barest. Well, that's not totally true. There's a needle bearing set in here that I didn't take out. But other than that, everything that can come out of this is out of it. First thing we need to put back in is our crankshaft. Crankshaft on this is a it's got an offset nipple up top and a triangle piece down here that engages, let me get it, that engages this piece of sintered metal on the gear set. That's how those two go together to drive the whole thing. So the first thing you do, we'll get some long pliers and we will throw it in there. No, we'll get some small pliers here and we'll try to lower that in. Perfect. Get it down there in and seated. Next thing we need to do is we'll put this ring gear in and we'll get it nice and settled all the way down. There we go. We've got our planetary gears here. They've still got the factory grease on them. Let's see, should I re-grease these? Are they grimy from sitting in the garage? What would AVE do? I don't know. I'm not as smart as that guy. Maybe we'll use some anti-seize, the old molybdenum disulfide on here, there, and there, and there. A little bit on the back here. It'll make its way all around in there. So now you can see we've got the triangle of the drive shaft down in there. And we're going to take this guy and lower it down in and rotate it until it clicks into place. There we go. Now you can see that by moving the drive shaft up here, we are moving that whole piece in there. All right, we'll grab each one of our gears, give them a quick touch of the anti-seize there. This stuff makes its way around. And we're gonna go ahead and place them right down in there. Just like that, and just like that. And number 3. Now there was a washer that went over the entire thing. I think I'm gonna give it all one more little dab of grease in there. It's not gonna hurt, certainly. And then we're going to take this washer, put this guy right over the top. There we go, that's how that was. All right, this head is now fully assembled. Let's put this aside someplace nice and safe so we can break into this guy. Alrighty. And now we're going to just lightly lift up this motor here. Maybe I'll clean. I think this thing failed because it was in a highly dirty environment. When I pulled it apart, it was all full of junk. We're just going to barely pick this guy up so that we can get this on. And you'll feel it kind of seat. And you'll know you're there when the holes in this black piece line up with the holes on the motor there. All right, I actually had to back myself up a little bit. I forgot to do one step. You'll notice right here, there's a hole that's not threaded on the side of the motor. That is for a pin to lock this black piece to this motor. So what you're going to do is orient your top and everything, get it down on there. In my case, I'm going to have to move this crankshaft to get it to fit. Get it lined up so that these threaded holes are visible. There should be 4 of them. and then this hole right down in the middle receives this pin. Put that in, then we place this in the case. You'll see there's a little cutout in the case for that to fit just perfectly. We make sure all our electronics are properly seated. Our battery receiver, the board here has a little spot to go into. And there we go. Let's get these larger Torx screws go up top. They hold the head in as well. That pin is just an extra safety, but these screws also hold the motor and the drive assembly together there. Then we should be able to throw a battery in this thing and see if it works. Now there are 5 or 6 other smaller Torx screws that hold the body of this thing together. They're all the same size except for one. There's one short one that goes down here and it's actually hidden underneath the trigger piece. So we're just going to put that guy in first, get him out of the way. Alright, this case is held together enough for a test. Let's get a battery in there. Safety off. The light's on, so I guess that's a good sign. Keep an eye on this drive shaft right there. That's hopefully going to start spinning. And it does. There we go. All right, there's no reason this thing should not work now. Now what we're going to have to do, let's get this guy back on. All right, he goes on like that. And then there's a little pin that we're going to smack in with a hammer. There you go. Now to get that out, I used an old dull drill bit that I didn't really care about and was able to just sort of pound it right out. All right, let's get a couple more screws in the body here to hold it together, and then we'll get the head put back together and see if it really works. All right, the next thing we're gonna have to do is get the yoke assembly onto the drive shaft. Now, there's this little ball piece right here that is going to go into the yoke like that, and then the whole yoke is going to go onto this thing. Now we're gonna have to get the drive shaft in the middle so that you see, so that it'll line up. That'll work. There we go. And now that's our back and forth movement. Perfect. Okay, now that that is in place, we're in the home stretch. I'm not going to go over in detail how to reassemble this. It's in the first video. First video is not long. If you're trying to rebuild one of these, I recommend you check out the first video. That's really all there is to it. So we're just going to slide this head in. I'm going to get this washer on, which only goes one direction. That is down. A little point in it, so it'll only go one way. Okay. That guy's pressed in. I'll find something to rest this on. This little snap ring on. Alright, that looks nice and tight, right? Yep. If you're having trouble getting this snap ring down, find a socket that is smaller than the head but larger obviously than the anvil, and you can use that to smack it down. But I think we did good here, and there we go. We now have a working 3/4 inch or 3/8 inch socket here. Perfect. Let's get... Alright, so we got the broken ratchet for $10. Eric did, he picked it up. And I got the replacement crankshaft for another $10. So here you go, $20. She's a little beat up, but it works. The battery holds a charge, and now it spins. So we're gonna add this to the toolbox. All right, if you guys have any questions about these things, at this point I've ripped it apart about 10 times, so there's a good chance I might know the answer to your question. By all means, leave me a comment down there in the squawk boxes. If you want, I will leave the link to where I got this. And that's about all there is to it, alright? As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.